What's going on, everyone? I'm AB Sports. I'm back for part 2 of the top 100 NFL players going into the 2021 season. Today's video will be number 75 to 51. Let's get into it. Starting off, number 75 and 74 I'm going to group together. 75 is Terron Armstead, the left tackle for the New Orleans Saints, and 74 is Ryan Ramczyk, the right tackle for the New Orleans Saints. I had trouble deciding which one of these guys to put on top. They're both elite offensive linemen, and it shows how much help Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees have had these last few years. Armstead's older and he's on the downhill of his career, but he is an elite run blocker. And Ramczyk is younger, on the up of his career. The Saints traded Brandon Cooks to get the pick they used to draft him, which turns out to be a great trade. 73, Cam Heyward, elite defensive tackle for the Steelers. He's the anchor of that defensive line and eats up running backs in the run game and draws a couple of blockers. He's been a reason that TJ Watt and Bud Dupree have been able to put up the sack numbers they have in the last few years, because he's hard to single team on the inside. They usually have to put a guard and a center on him, meaning they can't double both of those guys on the outside. 72, Dak Prescott. A lot of people might have him higher than QB number 12, but going into the 2020 season, we didn't think Dak was that great. It was the debate on whether he should be paid a big contract or not. And then he had 3 or 4 really big games, and then he got hurt. And in those games, Dak was putting up huge numbers, but the Cowboys weren't winning. So I'm still really not sure what I think about Dak. I know that he is a good quarterback that can put up a lot of numbers, but I'm not sure if he can lead a team to playoff success. 71, Saquon Barkley. A player who, if you told me to rank these players only based off of their talent, Barkley would be so high up on the list. He was the second overall pick in 2018, had 2,000 yards as a rookie, and then his second year struggled a little bit as Daniel Jones started to take over the offense. Then his third year, which was last year, he tore his ACL in week 2, and we didn't get to see anything out of him. He should have a bounce back year. He's an awesome player, but we've only seen one elite season of Saquon Barkley, and because of that, I could not put him any higher on the list. 70, Darren Waller. The third-ranked tight end. Only 3 tight ends make the list, and there are 3 tight ends that are far and away ahead of everybody else. I'm not spoiling anything by saying the top 2 are Travis Kelce and George Kittle, but we'll get to them later. Waller has established himself as the number 1 weapon on the Raiders' offense by a mile. He had a game with 200 yards last year. Derek Carr looks at him in the middle of the field, in the red zone, everywhere on the field. He can count on Darren Waller. 69, Bobby Wagner. He's been higher on this list in the past, drafted in 2012, so he's been in the league a while. This will be his 10th season coming up. And he was a founder of the Legion of Boom on defense. He's basically the only member left. He's still a tackling machine, but he is starting to struggle in coverage when he's getting up there in age. So this may be one of his last years on the list, but based on talent and based on his football smarts and how he can be the middle linebacker and like the captain of Seattle's defense, he still deserves to be on the list. 68, Trent Williams, another older player. He just got a huge extension from the Niners to be one of the highest paid offensive linemen in the league. He was on Washington and had a lot of problems with the medical staff, like demanded a trade and ended up sitting out for a lot of a whole season before finally trades the Niners for like a 5th round pick. And boy, was it a good trade, because he was unstoppable this year as an offensive lineman. 67, Adam Thielen. Wide receiver with one of the best hands in the entire NFL. Catches everything thrown his way. An awesome slot receiver. Undrafted guy out of some tiny college in Minnesota. Walked on to Vikings training camp a few years ago and ended up getting a spot. He's been surpassed by Justin Jefferson as the number 1 wide receiver on the Vikings, but that doesn't mean he's still not an elite playmaker who's a great red zone threat. 66, Chris Godwin, another awesome wide receiver who sort of plays second fiddle to Mike Evans in Tampa. Godwin put up massive numbers with Jameis Winston. Godwin kept that yards per catch high, lots of touchdowns, lots of big catches like this, and the Bucs franchise tagged him to keep him around, so we'll have to see how he does this year on the crowded Bucs team. But I think he is a very good wide receiver and could be a number 1 if he hits free agency. 65, Allen Robinson, third straight wide receiver. I finally decided I like the order of Robinson, then Godwin, then Thielen for these wide receivers. I struggled on how to rank those guys, but Robinson has never had a good quarterback. He's had Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky, and he still puts up 1,000-yard seasons, which is unbelievable to me. 64, Kyler Murray. He looks so fast. Guys don't even touch him. Like when he's running through the defense, he takes such quick little steps and gets around people, scores all these rushing touchdowns where no one even touches him, and he has a cannon. Throw the ball so far downfield, like on the Hail Murray to DeAndre Hopkins to beat the Bills. The Cardinals just have not been able to put it together. I'm not sure if it's the defense, I'm not sure if it's Cliff Kingsbury, I'm not sure if it's Kyler in the clutch. They can't get the job done, but they were under 500 last year. Really disappointing with the amount of talent they had. Kyler has all the potential in the world as a former number 1 overall pick, but he's got to start putting it together and make the playoffs. Otherwise, he may be not regarded as a top QB anymore. 63, Harrison Smith. Long-time safety for the Vikings. Everybody knows how good Harrison Smith is. He's been on this list for like 10 years, and he's not going off at any time soon. He's a really good player. 62, Ronnie Stanley. Offensive lineman number 4. He's a definite top 5 offensive lineman in the league. He is the Ravens' left tackle, and he just opens up these massive running lanes for Lamar and J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram and whoever it is. Best run blocking offensive tackle in the NFL, without a doubt in my mind. 61, DeForest Buckner. The Colts traded a first-round pick to get Buckner because they needed a leader on their defense. He was on the Niners when they went to their Super Bowl run in 2019, and he delivered as that. I think the biggest weakness on the Colts' entire team was their edge rushers. Maybe that's why they drafted an edge rusher in the first and second round this year. And usually it's hard for defensive tackles to produce without edge rushers, but Buckner was still very productive last year, and the Colts are going to be good this year. I think Carson Wentz is going to turn it around, and Buckner and Darius Leonard and those guys are going to be able to have a really strong defense. Number 60 is Ryan Tannehill. There is not a more efficient quarterback in the league than Ryan Tannehill. Now, some people might say that it's because he has Derrick Henry and the defense is only keying on Henry, but Tannehill's different. He makes plays. He runs around the backfield, gets guys open. A.J. Brown would not be the same as he is without Tannehill. He has a good deep ball, and he's athletic. He runs in touchdowns. Tannehill used to be a wide receiver. He played wide receiver at Texas A&M. So that's not something you can't teach athleticism. Tannehill has it, and he's led his team to the playoffs 2 years in a row, something Kyler and Dak have not done. 59, Matthew Stafford. My whole led the team to the playoffs thing is kind of maybe falling off the rails when you guys see Stafford up here, but Stafford is going to prove, now that he's in LA, that he is a top 10 quarterback and probably always has been. He was drafted first overall, like 2008 or something, and the poor guy's been stuck in Detroit his whole career. Now he's in LA with Sean McVay. You know how excited Sean McVay is to have Matthew Stafford instead of Jared Goff. He's the king of game-winning drives. I'm excited to see him play in LA. 58, Roquan Smith. Funny, it ended up being his number. Didn't do that on purpose. But Roquan flies around the field on defense. Another one of those middle linebackers that just seems to be able to do everything. Roquan is going to be one of those guys that when you go to NFL.com and click on stats for individual players and see the top 5 for tackles, he's going to be on that list for years to come. He just has a nose for the football and gets around it a lot. 57, Aaron Jones. Jones' yards per carry is always toward the very top of the league. The Packers don't give him the ball that much for him to be able to be like number 1 fantasy guy or leading the league in rushing because they have Rodgers and Adams. I don't blame them for not giving the ball to Jones as much. Rodgers and Adams are much higher on this list. You'll see them around the top 10, but I think it's his long strides or something, but he doesn't look like he's running that fast, but he is. He blazes past people. He's really shifty, and whoever gets Aaron Jones out of all this Packers drama, whether it's the Packers keep him or he goes to Buffalo or something, is getting an elite NFL running back. 56, Justin Jefferson, the rookie sensation, the wide receiver out of LSU who was the 5th wide receiver off the board, drafted after Jalen Reagor and Henry Ruggs, but put up 1,400 receiving yards as a rookie, despite not even starting in weeks 1 or 2. He just had a special connection with Kirk Cousins, had like 17 yards per catch or something crazy like that. He just looks like he belongs in the NFL. He adjusted to it so quickly. Number 55 is the player who barely beat out Justin Jefferson for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and it's Justin Herbert. Herbert was special last season. Herbert set the rookie passing touchdowns record. He ran the ball a lot. He was great at throwing on the run, and when the plays broke down, he could scramble around in the back of the pocket, and sort of like that athleticism I was talking about with Kyler and Tannehill that you just can't teach. I think that Herbert will take a leap in his sophomore year, and I think Staley will fix the Chargers' coaching problems and their defense and special teams, and I think the Chargers are going to be a team to be feared in the AFC this year. 54, Budda Baker. He's known for the guy who got caught by DK Metcalf, but he is so much more than that. And he reminds me a lot of the guy who's just one spot ahead of him on this list, and that's Jamal Adams. I put these two together so I could talk about them, and I think they're very comparable at this stage of their careers. Adams is a little past his prime, and Baker is just entering his prime. He and Budda Baker are both players you can basically do anything with on the defense. Ask them to rush the passer, they got it. Ask them to line up at linebacker, they got it. Cover someone, Adams isn't great at it, but he can play cornerback or be back there strong safety, free safety, be a center fielder. These guys can do everything, and that's why they belong right around the top 50 in the NFL. But 52 is a different type of safety. Minkah Fitzpatrick just has a talent for being able to figure out where to be in the secondary, to pick off passes, make big hits to jar the ball loose. It doesn't go down in the stats because it's not a pass breakup or an interception or anything like that, but it is a huge play in games, and you'll see a lot of Minkah Fitzpatrick doing that if you watch Steelers games. Last up for this video, at number 51, Marlon Humphrey. He almost lets the guys catch the ball sometimes and just knocks it right out of their hands, or when running backs are running around the edge, punches it out. He's a physical, big cornerback. Jalen Ramsey is maybe the player I would compare Humphrey to the most, even though he's not quite on Ramsey's level, but he has the potential to get there one day. That was number 75 to 51. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, how about liking this video and subscribing to the channel? Thanks for watching.